don't know what my only crime was being happy. That's all I did. I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Danny Hernandez, here once again to review AEW Dynamite. And we start in the obvious place tonight, directly in the middle of the card, like at around, 9:15? Seemingly completely random spot to start. But this segment saw Ethan Page come out, and he was completely frazzled after the last couple of weeks after what has happened with Matt Hardy, from Hardy hitting him in the head with the FTW title and costing him that match to whatever was in the contract that he signed on Rampage a couple of weeks ago to get that match with Hook. So he's in a rough spot, and he called Matt Hardy out. Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassie of Private Party come out, and Matt says that in the contract, it said that he and both Private Party are now no longer under the dominion of the firm following Page's loss to Hook a couple weeks ago. And also, now he gets to pick the time, place, and stipulation for a future match against Ethan Page. He doesn't give the time or the place for the match, but he does say that the stipulation is, should he win, both he and Private Party will be free of the firm and no longer in their employ, and they can finally get away from Page and Stokely. What's going on? You know it. Also, Jay, I saw you in there. What's up as well? Anyway, after this, Page then reminds Hardy that there are more members of the firm than just himself and Stokely Hathaway, and the two get jumped from behind by Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. Big Bill, still the worst name I've ever heard in wrestling, but I digress. The beatdown continues, and then Hook attempts to come out for the save, but after clearing the ring for momentarily, the numbers game catches up to him, and the beatdown is back on. But then the Hardy Boys music hits, and out comes Jeff motherfucking Hardy. Yes, Jeff Hardy back from his rehab, amongst other things, and he's back out with a painted steel chair. He comes out, hits everybody with the chair, clears the ring, hits a twist of fate on Ethan Page, and the firm ends up retreating. Eric Punk wasn't here, and it wasn't a flop, so shut the fuck up. But Danny, the promo aside, Jeff Hardy's return is the news here. So what do you think of Jeff being back in AEW?
Oh, man, I think that we all need to forgive CM Punk, because if we're letting Jeff Hardy slide for way worse shit, which I don't think is actually debatable, we need to get over the fact that Punk said some mean things about his bosses and they got into a little scuffle, okay? Like, bro, like, that's, yeah, sure, things could turn sideways in a fight, but, you know, things can end too tragically with a few grown men fighting each other, where, you know, Jeff Hardy being anywhere means that things could turn tragic in a fucking heartbeat. Oh my God, did you guys think we were going to be fucking hype about this return? No, we are not. Maybe Rev will be, but we collectively are not. No one on this podcast is, actually. You know what? I'm going to speak for everyone. No one is purely happy that Jeff Hardy is back. No one that's ever on this podcast ever would ever go to bat for this man. Bro is a fucking wash. Oh my God. Dude, I am so sick of Jeff Hardy, man, and he just got back. That being said, you know, I'm going to nitpick the promo real quick. I didn't think it made sense. Matt said the contract that Ethan signed freed them from the firm, but then he's going to have a match to free them from the firm. What the fuck?
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up after you were done ranting about Jeff, because, yeah, I don't understand. Shouldn't what he have done been, if Hook wins, then, you know, they're fired from the firm? Like, doesn't that make way more sense than him just being, or them just being, quote, out from under the dominion of the firm? How about you just get yourself fired? Like, why would you add this extra unnecessary step here? It's so fucking stupid and convoluted. It's dumb. It's very dumb.
It was dumb. But back to the return of hero, Jeff Hardy. Bro, it figures that he would return here because this segment was a freaking car crash, man. Like, goddamn, that was probably too far. But I'm being super harsh here. Like, I'll walk it back a little bit. I want Jeff to be better. I want him to get better. I want him to get to a good place. I don't think he's employable in a wrestling company. I don't think he should be wrestling anymore. Not just because of his actions, but like for his own good, for his own safety. What can go right about this? I don't see the benefit of having him. I get it. Like everyone else has this nostalgia for him, and I'm one of the few that I don't have it. And maybe I'm overly critical of him, and I'm willing to possibly concede that. But I don't know, man. Can you, if you got that many DUIs, do you think you keep your job? Like if they knew about it,
Nope.
Like I wouldn't. I think a lot of people would lose their jobs for stuff like that. And I don't want to be the authority on who should or shouldn't have a job. But
no, we're only the authority in WWE.
There we go. But I just want I don't know. I want people to not treat him with kids' gloves and just hold him accountable. Even these crowds popping for him. It's like, bro, how is anyone gonna complain about Punk and then turn around and cheer this? And I'm not even doing this purely as I want Punk back sort of thing, but just as bro, the guy said mean things about his bosses, and then they got into a fight like teenage boys, bro. And then that's what I don't know, man. Am I being too harsh here? Am I crazy?
I mean, I kind of look at these as two separate things. I think the only thing between Punk and Jeff Hardy where they relate is their feud from back on SmackDown. And
I'm only comparing in the sense that
I was making a joke, but in terms of just like the incidents, I think the only thing where they compare is they're just both away from the company. Obviously Jeff is had his demons and he still does, and they pop up every once in a while, and a lot of that is related to when he gets back in the ring and he's hurting. So it was weird. I was very initially happy to see him back. So I was like, oh, cool, Jeff. And I popped a little, and he comes out and he does the chair things and hits Twist of Fate. And I'm like, all excited and whatever. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to see this guy come back and keep doing the thing that sends him down the path, or sends him down the path that leads to him getting in trouble again, or so it seems. So it's kind of difficult in a way to see him come back. I don't know how much they're gonna have him wrestle just in general. I mean, hell, if I didn't see him, if he was just there and was managing guys, with Matt, I would be maybe okay with it. But
I don't want to make a fucked up joke.
Yeah, I know.
That would be worse, bro. That would be so much worse. What can he offer as a manager?
Not even managing, but just being there and supporting them, I guess. And technically, almost in a role like Saraya is at the moment, where she's barely wrestling, but she's participating in beatdowns and stuff. And I mean, if Jeff wrestles once every 5-6 months, okay, but dude shouldn't be jumping off of ladders through tables anymore. But he's got to limit himself.
That's the problem with Jeff, is that he has nothing else to offer. Yeah, what else do you want to see him do? He can't do the whisper in the wind anymore. It's always bad. He can barely swanton without fucking just plopping straight down on people. What else does he have to do? That's the problem. He really does need to stop. And I know I sound like an asshole here, and I'm not even saying to you, because maybe I do sound like an asshole to you, but in general, because there's going to be people who are they're so stricken by their love for Jeff Hardy that they're going to excuse him and defend him and say that I'm being wrong and I'm being insensitive to a serious issue when I feel like I'm the only one taking this issue seriously. And when I say I'm being very general with that, but
yeah, and I'm not I'm not taking it serious. I don't have the emotional attachment to Jeff Hardy that like James does either. You know, I wasn't really watching wrestling during that time, so I do pop for him. I like Matt better personally.
Oh yeah,
but,
he's way more creative.
Yeah, but it's just I just want Jeff to be okay. And while I can sit here from the outside and be like, yeah, it's the wrestling that keeps sending him down this path. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just kind of what I think I'm seeing. So, yeah, I would hope Jeff and his family know best, but you know, when history continues to repeat itself here, you start to get a little suspicious and quite frankly a little worried. Just the fact that he's doing this again and trying it again, because I don't want him to go back down that path, because you know, you only have so many times doing that before you either end up locked up for a really long time or, you know, paralyzed or dead.
Well, if he
So-
was a regular person, he would have been arrested already. But to Jay's comment, Jeff is the one who needs a manager and support. He needs a sponsor really badly.
yeah,
And I'm sorry to make jokes about things, but you know, that's how I handle
but
tough
on a serious
subjects.
note, he does like he needs somebody to keep an eye on him when he's on the road. And there have been people who do that in professional sports. I'm sure there have been a few who do it in wrestling too. Like they'll have a guy just come with them, and that's their guy, and they'll keep him on the straight and narrow. So I mean, maybe if Jeff wants to try that, and I don't think it could or should be Matt. It's usually somebody else.
No, it can't be Matt.
So, yeah, I would just, I would just be as cautious as possible with him. I'm sure Tony Khan has been seen or been in instances, like I said, in professional sports where he's seen people who have had guys go around with them to keep them. Josh Hamilton, he was a baseball player. Remember him on the Rangers?
Oh my God, yeah.
He hit all the home runs in the home run derby in the old Yankee Stadium. For those of you who might remember that. He had a lot of drug problems, and when he came back around from that, I'm pretty sure he had somebody who traveled with him everywhere, to all the road games, to the ballpark, everything, and kept him on the straight and narrow. So you get somebody like that, maybe that could help Jeff out. But I don't know. We'll see where this goes from here. Yeah, definitely. You definitely on a short leash. Agreed. It. But again, you have a point where this is whatever number of chance this is, and at a certain point, you got to run out of chances.
I mean, I end all of my reviews or anything that I host with like two particular lines, which I know because you've done a little homage before, but
I've just straight up imitated you a couple of times.
Yeah, I like the way I put it, but one of those lines is "Don't drink and drive," and that's because of like 3 people in the wrestling world, and 2 of them are twins. So the other one is Jeff Hardy. But look, ultimately, as harsh as I'm being on this, we do want Jeff to get better. I am just not as forgiving as everyone, including these companies, seem to be with him. So,
that's kind of how it is with wrestling, though, right? Like they don't care about him; they just care about the money. And Jeff brings.
I don't know. I'd
views.
actually say they got. I'll give a little kudos to WWE. I say they got to the point where they actually were like sick of this shit and were like, "Look, this is what you need to do." And you know what? Not to bring back old news stories, but bro, that weird house show incident, man, I'm not buying. It's hard to buy his story at this point, that he was just acting weird and was totally fine, not under the influence. But that is rampant speculation on my part. But from what we've seen, that's just the assumption that I've come to. But again, if somehow, some way, you're a wrestler and you come across this and you're offended by the things I'm saying about Jeff, you're probably biased because you know him personally and you have a fondness for him. But but whatever. Anything else happened on this show?
A couple of things, but obviously, as I say a lot with these type of news things, this is going to continue to play out throughout the weeks to come. So we will continue to talk about it as we see and learn more. Let's move back all the way to the top of the card, which saw Darby Allin face off against Swerve Strickland. This match came about from Rampage when Swerve had Brian Cage blindside Darby at the top of the stage, and they created the Mogul Embassy, combining the Mogul affiliates and the Embassy. I don't know where those two big white guys went that Swerve had, but he's running with Cage and Nana now, and those are his people. So let's skip towards the end of the match. Darby pulled off Swerve's shoe after Swerve had tweaked his ankle, and Swerve was in the Tree of Woe, and Darby bit his fucking foot, which was pretty funny.
A you sick fuck chant from the crowd.
Darby then later hit a reverse hurricanrana to the outside, which I believe producer boy had just thrown up there, which was pretty fucking nasty. And then he hit a coffin drop, but Prince Nana put Swerve's foot on the rope to break up the count. Darby then tried to follow Nana up the ramp, but as he got up there, Brian Cage appeared. So Darby returned to the ring and got hit with a super kick. Swerve then hit a Swerve stomp, again shoeless, and the injured foot prevented him from making a quick cover, so Darby was able to kick out. Darby then went to hit the ropes, but Cage grabbed his ankle, and Cage and Nana end up getting thrown out from ringside. And while that's all happening, Swerve uses distraction from the referee to go get a chair, but Darby ends up drop kicking it out of his hands, hits a code red that Swerve kicks out of, and then Darby gets Swerve into the Last Supper and is able to keep him down for the pin. So I thought this was a good opening match. It's nice to see Swerve back on Dynamite. We haven't really seen him in a while. Obviously, everyone loves Darby, so I enjoyed this match. Good, solid Dynamite opener. No notes.
Oh man, I really like this. I think this worked on so many levels. One, Swerve and Darby have great chemistry.
They really do.
Two, the fact that Darby was attacking him from the jump, and this match was fast-paced from bell to bell.
Darby almost won in like the first 2 minutes of the match.
Which, is a wrestling, not a trope per se, but I guess we'll call it a trope for now. But it's something that you would have never, on paper, you would never guess, oh, that's how a Swerve and Darby Allin match would start. Like, I never saw that coming here, so that was cool. I loved that Darby, obviously, these guys are racking up wins. I feel like beating Swerve was pretty big. Like, I know he's never on Dynamite, but he still feels like a protected guy, and like somehow like he's still like upper mid card despite, and again, not really ever being on Dynamite. So like this felt like a bigger deal than, I don't even remember who Jungle Boy beat in his singles match like 4 weeks ago.
It was somebody good though, which is. And that's the thing we've been seeing with the building towards this 4 pillars feud, is that you're seeing Sammy, he beat Commander. I don't recall who Jungle Boy beat. I do recall that he beat him with the sliding elbow to the back of the head. And now we see Darby beat Swerve Strickland here. Like, these guys are beating good people in order to build them. I'm pretty sure Sammy beat Takeshita too on Rampage a couple of weeks ago. So like they're putting up.
That doesn't matter. It's Rampage, but
I know, but that's still a good name to have him, on his recent list of wins. So it's been really cool that some of these upper mid-carder guys, like, yeah, they're losing, but they're getting good looks on TV. They're looking good in their matches. And, as we saw with Swerve, like, he had a kind of a running thread throughout the show. So this was very good exposure for him now that he has a new stable, and, he's seemingly returning to Dynamite.
Yeah. And he got beat by a roll-up, a protected roll-up.
Yeah.
And
a pinning predicament. I don't like calling it a roll-up.
I don't like pinning predicament. That sounds too WWE-ish.
That's literally Excalibur's line.
Yeah, but that sounds like some WWE speak,
We'll find something in the middle there.
Vince wouldn't want to call it a roll-up because that's a fucking candy from the 90s. It's like, that's not a fruit roll-up. It's a pinning predicament, god damn it.
It's a pinning predicament, damn it. There you go.
But yeah, thank you. But I thought this was really, really fun. I really liked Swerve in this. I like how far Swerve has come since he first came in, and I thought he was a little overrated. So good on you, Swerve. That's your badge of honor to really wear. But yeah, I thought this was fucking sick. That Hurricanrana. That's still my favorite. My favorite suicide dive. Like he really puts the suicide in suicide dive.
Especially when he goes through the bottom rope too, and he just fucking missiles himself at people.
It's literally him, Athena, and then everyone else, with these fucking dives. Because she does the same thing, the fucking bullet dive, too.
Yeah.
She just doesn't get the speed because Darby's a little, skinny. Yeah. It was a banger. But, yeah, I thought this was a great match. Big win for Darby, but we got to talk about the post-match.
Right. So, obviously, like they said, the post-match, we had MJF's music immediately hit following Darby's win. We then ended up going to commercial, and we come back to the two of them in the ring. MJF immediately brings up their pay-per-view match that they've been discussing for a while. For those of you who don't remember it, it was the feud built around MJF being able to beat Darby with a headlock takeover, which he did because I forget how he cheated, but he did.
I think he knocked him out the ring.
Yeah, it was that or a chair. I forget. But he brings that up saying that Darby is not on his level. Darby then completely shifts gears and asks Max if he's happy, saying that all the material things that he and Max thought would have made them happy back when they were poor and just starting out haven't really made Darby happy. He brings up going to therapy and letting all of that material stuff go and allowing the happiness of the people around him to make him happy. Meanwhile, MJF has compromised all of his morals, and now he has no one to make him happy. MJF responds that he's tired of Darby and the other pillars questioning his morals, saying that none of them have the guts to do whatever it takes to get to and stay at the top. So, yeah, he might die alone, he might not get to heaven or whatever, but he'll be bringing the title with him, and they'll be calling him the greatest of all time, whereas Darby will be known as Sting's bitch. This prompts Sting to come out, and which is actually a little surprising, but cool. So Sting comes down, and he starts throwing pom-poms at MJF for some weird reason. And then he says he's tired of MJF talking about all the daddy daycare stuff, accidentally on purpose, calling it Cody daycare at one point. Sting then says that Cody was Max's support system, much like he's Darby's support system, and then goes through some of the guys that were his support system when he was coming up, like Ric Flair when he was younger, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall when he was in the Wolfpack and stuff like that. Sting then says that his showtime is almost over, but Darby's is just beginning, and Max's showtime with the title is almost done, as Darby is going to take it. Darby then steps back up and says he doesn't care much for this plastic world, but he's going to take the title from MJF and become the champ. And Max just responds to all this by spitting in Darby's face, rolling out of the ring, and hightailing it to the back. So, once again, we have another really good promo from Darby, I thought. He had a really good one when the four pillars were in the ring at the same time, and he's followed it up with another good one. Sting, obviously, was great because he's Sting. The pom-poms were weird, but I don't care.
Great. What are you talking about? Weird.
It was, you know what it was? Because it was Joker Sting, and he alluded to that later in the promo. Like he said, like, as you can see, I still got a little Joker left in me as he was running down all of his gimmicks. But I never really saw Joker Sting, so I didn't get it until he mentioned that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why he did it. But the rest of it, I loved everything about this. I almost said except the end with MJF just leaving, but it kind of just works for him. So yeah, I love this. This was great.
Oh my god, I love this too. And yeah, the ending does work because when MJF loses on the mic, that's how he reacts. He storms off like a child, or he kicks you in the dick, or he spits in your face. This was fantastic. Yeah, this was great. I don't know about an MJF Sting match. I mean, MJF could be the first person to beat Sting. That would be pretty interesting. But
Sting did explicitly say he didn't want the title during the promo, so I doubt we see it.
Yeah, I know. I was just reacting to that tweet. But this was, oh my god, my favorite thing on the whole show, besides maybe a match we'll talk about in a little bit. But
what's up, Nas?
This was magical. Darby won. Like maybe MJF's words were better and like delivered better, but Darby won because the quality of his words were better. Like MJF had up his normal facade, which is a quick-witted, well-spoken, sharp-tongued type of guy. But Darby just spoke simply and picked him apart psychologically with the one line, the one question: "Are you happy?" Like, you know, I don't know how many of you out there have watched Bo Burnham's "Make Happy," but the almost encore-like song at the end just has him simply asking, "Are you happy?" And it's emotional, it's deep, and even though it's a comedy special, it cuts to the core. And that's what Darby Allin did with one question there. He won the promo right then and there, but then it just kept going and getting better. And you know, he put over caring about people, and you know, set up the dynamic that MJF does have in a lot of his feuds, that he is selfish and doesn't care about anyone and only cares about himself. But that's fine. MJF has made that an important part of his character, especially as champion. But then for Sting to come out, this fucking man, I am always ecstatic. I am ecstatic shocked to see fucking Sting every time he shows up on TV. And
Chad appreciates your reference.
This was no different here. Just it's just always great to see him, and then for him to get on the mic against Max was fantastic. And I loved the pom-poms, because he just was like, yeah, I'm not anyone's dad. I'm more of a cheerleader. And they had the fucking pom-pom problem. That was great. I loved it. And then he kept pulling them out. It was so good. I fucking loved it. And I barely watched Joker's thing. I don't even care. It was just on its own in a vacuum. I loved it. But you know, for him, he put over Darby so strong, and to the point where, man, and that's been the beauty of MJF's title reign so far, is like almost every person, I'm like, yeah, they're going to lose to MJF now, but I kind of want them to be the person to take it off of him. Like I felt that way with the Ricky Starks promo, and now I feel this way with Darby. I'm all in. I want it to be Darby. Like at Winter's Coming or some shit, or maybe even Revolution, you fucking do it. You do it. You have Darby be the one. I think it should be another pillar. They've convinced me. I don't even know if that's their intention, but I'm convinced. I want it to be Darby. I don't want it to be Darby right now because we got to get to the end of the year. But I want it to be Darby now so badly. Fuck Jungle Boy. Who the fuck cares? Sammy's been great. I think Sammy has risen himself up, even though he's just hyping himself up to be the guy that takes the pin in the Fatal 4-Way. That's okay. That's an important job. And, you know, Sammy's done a great job. You know what? I'm so high on this. I'm gonna be nice to Jungle Boy. He belongs here too. He belongs in this feud too. This is great. I love this. This is the best feud in AEW right now by far.
Honestly, the promos in every MJF feud since he's gotten the title have been phenomenal. And you just ran off all of them, but there hasn't been a bad. The weakest one so far maybe was Sammy's last week, and maybe that was only because it wasn't face to face with MJF.
And because it was post match, like him literally just finishing wrestling.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic should they do it, because he's the only one who hasn't had a face to face with MJF one-on-one yet. But considering that they're both heels, and Sammy, despite the fact that he does occasionally say face things, especially against MJF, like it's very easy to do that, he's still going to get booed just because of all this residual heat from everything on the outside.
Yeah, so but
it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see what happens there.
He turned face initially because of distrust for MJF.
Yep.
You know, in the Pinnacle situation, you know, or the Inner Circle turned Pinnacle situation. So, you know, that's what got Sammy to that top babyface level in the first place. So if they needed him to, which I don't think they do, because I think 2 heels, 2 faces is fine. You know, it is there. If Sammy has any chance of being cheered, it is against MJF. But yeah, this phenomenal. I love how much. I don't even want to, because this feels like I'm insulting it, but I love how this is being dragged out, and this doesn't feel rushed, but it doesn't feel like they're dragging it out, and it doesn't feel like they're rushing it. It feels like they actually have a pace in mind, and they're following that pace, and it's fucking beautiful. I'm such a big fan of this feud right now.
Yeah, it's been great. And as for Sammy, I'm kind of cool with him kind of being a tweener, where he hates MJF and everybody loves him for that, but then Darby and Jungle Boy hate him, and like he should still cheat a little. Yeah, so I think he's kind of right in the middle there. He's not gonna be a perfect face unless he comes up against MJF, and even then he'd probably end up saying something like, "Yeah, I've done the cheating thing to win. Like it works. I get where you're coming from, but yeah, there's some point where there's a line in terms of fucking people over who are your friends and family that I won't cross." So you could probably figure it out, fit him somewhere in there. And I think for this feud, and quite frankly, Sammy's character as a whole, I think that's a really good slot for him.
Yeah.
All right. Let us move on to the next thing on the card, which was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Silas Young. Iron Lion, that is something we have been talking about a little bit. So keep an eye out for that. We'll let you guys know if we end up doing something like that. But as I was saying, we had Powerhouse Hobbs versus Silas Young. This was for the TNT Championship. I totally forgot it was for the TNT Championship because it was all of fucking 30 seconds. And with all due respect to Silas Young, apparently he's a veteran guy and a local guy, and that's why they put him on the card. And I was thinking they were going to give him a little more time. They didn't give him nothing. So, whatever. Like I said, he died really quickly. Anyway, QT had apparently gotten Hobbs a nice new car, and Hobbs really loves it. So, after the match, Wardlow appeared on the screen, and he went out back to where Hobbs had parked the car earlier, and he just started fucking it up with a pipe, and then one of like the things that hold up the velvet ropes, and then he, took a forklift, put it through the windows, and then flipped it over, and then forgot to put the forklift in park and let it drive into the car again.
Oh, so, those things are called stanchions, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I was not aware of that. Anyway, so back in the arena, Hobbs had been dragging Silas up the ramp, and in a fit of rage, he was going to powerbomb him off the ramp into a couple of tables, but then Wardlow's music hit, and about like 15 seconds after it hit, because I guess he was actually running from the back. I don't know why you just don't pre-tape that. But anyway, he eventually came out. Brawl is on until it ends up getting broken up by security. But during the fight, Aaron Solo had jumped on, and this is, that was where the forklift ended up rolling, which was really funny. But Aaron Solo had jumped on Wardlow's back, trying to choke him out or whatever, and Wardlow threw him off his back like he was a small child and powerbombed him through the tables off the side of the ramp. So we now believe Excalibur said that we are setting up for we're now literally trying to ghost ride the forklift. We're setting up for another TNT Championship match next week, Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs. This obviously has been a lot of back and forth. And honestly, at this point, I just really hope they don't, ping pong the title back to Wardlow. I want Powerhouse to get this win and, keep his reign going.
So no comment on the match. Obviously, the
comment on the match was it was short.
The car being sold was fun. It was sports entertaining. I had no problem with that. I don't want to see Wardlow versus Hobbs again. But, I don't care. This is like the lowest title in the whole company. We're about to talk about a way more important title, honestly, right after this. So, but whatever. We'll see how that plays out next week. No point on shitting on it now when we can shit on it next week, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, as Nas, was pointing out here in the comments, like Wardlow, for somebody who's getting such good reactions post MJF split, and then even up until the point where he won the TNT title initially, he's unfortunately falling off a cliff in terms of his popularity, or at least getting a big crowd reaction. So it kind of sucks. I like Wardlow. I think he's good. As James says, he does look very generic without the cool ponytail and with his hair just being straight up now. That's why I kind of hope that he doesn't get the title next week. I think Hobbs has a lot more going for him I don't know about the QTV stuff. That may or may not be helping him. I think the QTV stuff is funny as shit, but it maybe should be a separate entity. I think Hobbs should just be, don't play that audio because we might get hit for that. But I think Hobbs should just be, the powerhouse, no pun intended, the powerhouse, snarling heel who does everything by himself instead of having fucking sniveling QT Marshall trying to help him out. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd hate to give up already, but I have no expectations for Hobbs side of ring anymore. They just can't book that championship. It feels like
they really can't.
Ethan got back. Ethan's mid Carter at best. It's like he's nice guy. Like he's better than the Miz, but like not that much better. So
he's a good. I like Ethan Page though. He's a very good mid Carter. Like
but that's I don't like anyone saying that Ethan Page is like deserves to be in the main event or is better than the level he's at. Like I think he's really great at the level he's at, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, like when he was challenging for the TNT title, like I know there was that whole mess with, Scorpio Sky and American Top Team, but like that's I think the highest position he should probably maybe be in. So,
bro, Jay, he's mid card. He's no Braun Breaker.
That's not disrespectful either. Like I don't think saying somebody's in the middle of the card is disrespectful. It's a good spot for them. You compared him to The Miz. That is honestly a very good WWE comp. I don't know if you could heat him up the way they did The Miz, getting him all the way to the main title, just because I think it's a lot harder to get to the main title in AEW on purpose. But yeah, he can get a TNT title run. I don't remember if he ended up winning it or not. He could maybe get an international title run.
No, he could never. His only hope is TNT.
But I'm just maybe if they heat him up into a tag team, depending on who's with him, maybe he could get the tag titles, maybe. But I don't know if he gets the main title. But then again, that's no disrespect to him. I think he's great.
Yeah. What happened after this?
Yes, let's move on. We had a video package of Jay White and Juice Robinson. Jay is all elite. I'm very excited.
I like this. It was good.
Yeah, this was really cool because it started with White running down all the greats from Bullet Club, and we got to see, all of the elite, Kenny and the Bucks, and then Cody, and then AJ Styles, who's, thrown out. I think Bullet Club Adam Cole was in there too. So we got to see some really cool old footage of these guys from both New Japan and Ring of Honor, and it was hype. And also, it was the second segment of the night that Cody was mentioned or made an appearance. So
there was 2 last week as well. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Ever since that dude lost to Mania,
I was gonna say maybe a little salt in the wound, LMAO Cody. Anyway, after that, they quickly recapped their takedown of Ricky Starks last week before announcing the creation of Bullet Club Gold. So I'm excited for this because we now have a sub faction in Bullet Club in AEW. Bullet Club, for those of you who don't know or don't really follow New Japan, Bullet Club is not fun. El Phantasmo just got fired, I'm pretty sure. No one's really Finley might be in charge, but no one's really sure who's in charge. So we have Jay White and Juice Robinson over here making Bullet Club Gold. You have the guys in Impact, Chris Bay, who's also in Bullet Club. With the upcoming Forbidden Door, or maybe even the show in Wembley, we've been discussing this, Danny, in our group chats. Perhaps we maybe see a Bullet Club Civil War sort of deal at one of those 2 shows, whether it's All In or Forbidden Door.
Yeah, maybe we do. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't care. It's weird how I wasn't super into all the Jay White news because I wasn't buying into the hype that he would go to WWE, and even though reports seemed like he actually was talking with them, I think if he showed up there, it would have sucked. Not due to any fault of his own, but so him being here, I was happy about. But for some reason this week, I was just like way more into this. So I was like, I really liked him and Tony's boyfriend, like mixing it up in the video package. You know, it was really good, and now I'm way more excited about Ricky feuding with these guys. So, you know, I thought this was effective. It's not like the greatest thing in the world, but I'm into it. This week got me into it for some reason. I can't pinpoint exactly why, but I liked it.
Yeah, sometimes just hearing Juice speak, or not Juice, excuse me, Jay speak, really helps you get into things. He's such a good promo, and he can really draw you in. So I'm excited. I love Bullet Club. They're what got me into Japanese, like New Japan wrestling. So what's going on, Navarro? Nice to see you, brother. Brother, Jesus Christ. But
we shit hard on Jeff's return. We know how we feel, or I know how I feel about it. And I'm not a fan of it. Just so you know, just to catch you up to speed.
Yeah, I said the same thing you did. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I just hope he's okay. But back to Bullet Club, and I just wanted to re-highlight this message from Jay here, where they're modern day NWO and they're overdone. You have a point in terms of just they've been around for a long time and have had a lot of turnover, so they haven't been anywhere near their peak recently. Jay White, when he was leader, was doing phenomenally, and I like Juice in there, but it's weird where they don't have the same like oomph, for lack of a better phrase, they did when Finn back then, Prince Devitt first started it, and then they went to AJ and then Kenny, like that, and then the Elite obviously bringing it to a whole nother level internationally. So it's kind of hard, and they've seemingly have been recovering ever since the Elite left. So it's going to be hard again now that Jay White isn't in the New Japan part of Bullet Club. So
can I just say one quick note on this comment here? When you sign your comments, put Producer Boy. Who the fuck is Eric? Everyone knows you as Producer Boy. So
yeah, I literally have no idea.
Producer Boy.
There's an Eric guy who comments in the chat sometimes, but I don't. That's not Producer Boy. So
yeah. Why would Eric have access to the Market Down channel? So Producer Boy, make sure you check your tags more. But anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just had to make that note.
And Jay, I'll agree again. Since Cody left, that's when the entirety of the Elite left. So obviously Cody, the Bucks, Kenny, somebody who shall not be named, and Hangman all left at the same time. So they've been having a lot of trouble recovering from losing that much top of the card talent at once. So, but that I'm just looking forward to whatever they do with this Bullet Club stuff. But we'll get to it at another time. Mostly because.
Just to wrap up with this comment, New Japan is something I will never watch. Man, it sucks. If you would never watch it, you literally cannot say it sucks. Like you can. How would you know?
It's also just objectively not true. But.
Yeah, it's like a paradox. Like if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to watch it. I'm just saying why have a strong opinion on something that you don't watch?
Yeah, or how could you say that? Producer Boy, stop antagonizing the commenters. All right, let's get off this because we have a very, very important match to talk about, which is Orange Cassidy versus Buddy Matthews for the AEW International Championship. Now, Orange has an injured hand. He injured it recently. I think it was on Rampage. He was trying to save the Best Friends from a House of Black beatdown, and he accidentally went to Orange Punch Buddy, and he hit Buddy's Trios title instead of Buddy and injured his hand. He then, on the next night, had a match at Battle is it of the Belts or for the Belts?
Battle of the Belts.
Thank you. Battle of the Belts. He hit an Orange Punch to win, but he further injured his hand, and that was a target for Buddy the entire night. But Orange actually, once again, similar to the start of the Darby match, Orange almost had this one very, very quickly, and he ended up hitting Buddy with a vicious, vicious Orange Punch. Buddy sold that like death. The gum flying out of his mouth was great. But Orange ended up just wrecking his hand in the process, so he wasn't able to make the pin. He called over to Doc Samson, and they were checking on it, and then Buddy stepped on the hand when he came to, and ended up taking advantage for much of the match. So later in the match, Orange was able to hit 3 DDTs. I think one was off the top rope, one was a diving one to the outside, and then the next one was a diving one back to the inside. Buddy was able to kick out of that. Orange then goes for the orange punch, but Buddy dodges it, hits a rising knee strike, and then goes up for Murphy's Law. But Cassidy counters it with a roll-up that Buddy gets out of because Cassidy can't grasp both feet because his hand is all fucked up. Orange then is able to land an orange punch, but obviously because of his injured hand, it's not full power, and Murphy is able to kick out of it. Buddy then challenges Cassidy to hit him, but when Cassidy does, he catches catches the injured hand, gets up and lands a knee strike. Orange then tells Buddy to do the same thing, offers Buddy to hit him, but as Buddy goes to do it, Orange just falls flat on his face, attempting to play possum. Buddy is able to read it, so when Orange gets up, back up and goes to the orange punch, Buddy grabs the ropes, and then he is able to grab Orange again for Murphy's Law, but Cassidy is again able to counter, this time into the mousetrap, and he's able to keep Buddy down for 3 and retain his title. So this was a great match. I already know you're gonna look like Randy Marsh with the spooky ectoplasm in a minute, but this was great. Honestly, Buddy is one of my favorite underrated wrestlers on the planet. Obviously, Orange Cassidy has been on a tear ever since he's won the All Atlantic, now international title, and he's getting to that point where we kind of saw with Darby's title reign, TNT title reign, even though that was much shorter, where because he's doing and defending this title week in and week out, the injuries are piling up. He had to go to, as I said on commentary, his most desperate move in the mousetrap to win, and especially now that his biggest weapon in his right hand for the orange punch is out of the commission for the most part.
Oh, man. So real quick, I just got to negate a comment real quick. This was the best match of the night. Rest was mid at best. I think the opening match was better than mid. But this match was so good that maybe it was mid. Maybe this match was so good, everything else was worse because of it. But
that does happen.
It does. But this was awesome. Why didn't the opening match main event? Why didn't anything else on the show main event?
That confused me. I understand with the ending of the main event, like what they're trying to do, but you could have done that at 9:00 and let the title match main event.
Yeah, you could have. This was so good. I genuinely thought Buddy was going to win at a couple points. I really did. When he hit the stump, when he countered the orange punch and caught his hand, I really thought, okay, he's going to win the title. You know what? I'm okay with this. Buddy Matthews is not the double champ I thought we'd see, but all right, I'll take it. This guy is fucking awesome, and I think he got off to a little bit of a slow start, but that's because House of Black went through a lot of shit with Malachi not too long after Buddy first got there. But this is why he's here. These matches, this shit he's been doing in the past few months is why he's in this company. This is the stuff he wanted to show. This is what I can do. You see this Kenny Omega guy? I can do 90% of what this guy does. All right, so fucking appreciate me.
First, Kenny is good. Yeah. The couple of times they squared off together, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally something you can only get in a video game where you have a wrestler wrestle himself, that you don't get those opportunities. We had one. We had Kane versus Fake Kane. And, obviously that was a 7-star match probably. But, yeah, the International Championship is what the TNT title, what they wanted it to be and what the TNT title used to be. Hey, when Cody was defending it every week, that shit was good. And it's a very similar story. That reign is coming to an end because he keeps putting the title on the line and he's getting more hurt and more hurt. The same way Cody eventually went too far and he ended up losing it. Twice actually. The same thing is going to happen to Orange. And I thought this was going to be the week. And it's been so good that I was accepting of it. I was like, yeah, if this is the week it happens, I'm okay with this. It's a shock I wouldn't expect. The only way that they can ruin this is by choosing the wrong person. And I don't even know who the wrong person is right now because, you know what? Jeff Jarrett was an amazing contender. So like, I don't know who the wrong person is anymore, but that's the only way we can mess this up. I love this. I loved Buddy, say like, come on, I kicked out of your orange punch. Fucking hit me. What do you have? And then fucking Orange doing it back to him after a knee and be like, yeah, what do you have? The fake out trying to weasel him in, and then for Buddy to be smart enough to counter it. Again, that was another one I was like, oh shit, like the match is over because Cassidy went from the playing possum orange punch and Buddy dodged it and hit a stomp. It was beautiful. I love this. Oh man, let's speed through the rest of the show. I don't want to talk about anything else after this. Holy shit. Amazing.
No, I adored this match. It was phenomenal. I don't think I could say anything more than you said. You covered it perfectly. I do have to imagine though we are unfortunately getting towards the end of Cassidy's reign just because of the way he's been getting beat up. And you did see shortly after this there was like one quick segment commercial, and then it came back to a backstage interview with Orange and the Best Friends. And Renee asked Orange how his hand was, and Trent didn't even let him answer. He's just like, he's fine. He's on the best tear of his career. Let's focus on us. And I hope we don't see, Trent and Chucky T turn heel on him. I think that would suck. But this may be the way they're perhaps starting to lean, whether, the injuries end up costing Orange the title because the two, the Best Friends keep pushing him, or they end up costing him the title straight up. But it does kind of feel like the way that might be headed, just the way. I mean, look, Trent and Chuck are Dicks in real life, but it kind of just feels like the way it might be starting to head.
Yeah, and I just want to run through some comments real quick because I was on a tangent. It's hard to look at the chat real quick. I fucking hate the Orange in his pockets bullshit. You're wrong. I mean, it's fine. It's your opinion, but like that's like the cool thing. International. Yeah. Oh, we already went over that one. I did go over that. I just wanted to get a little bit into this because we're talking about the main event. Yeah, I think Jericho. I love Jericho. He's overstaying his welcome a little bit. We'll talk about that in a few. We'll get into that. Yeah, Buddy does deserve his singles title, Navarro. Yeah.
But I will say that he is a trio champion, and he's phenomenal in that trio. So all three of those guys get to shine all the time, and that's what makes them such a great trio because they're all interconnected, but they can all do singles stuff too. So it's not it works perfectly. It allows them so much flexibility where you get bangers like this, but they're not pigeonholed just in the trios division.
Yeah, and then very well put. Just why don't they use Rampage to SmackDown? Because Rampage sucks. It's only an hour long and no one watches it. It would be a fine idea if it was on a different night at a different time. But as stands, absolutely not. It would be be bad in this particular context.
Yeah, the way Turner currently wants the deal, and I guess at this point it's Warner Brothers Discovery, not just Turner. But the way they have things set up, they obviously want a second show. They just don't want like a second brand, because if they wanted another 2-hour show, they would have another 2-hour show, and they already have a third hour on Wednesdays now with the reality show. So I know it's not reality, but backstage,
which I guarantee gets more views than Rampage. But
because it's got AEW as the lead-in. You just got to keep sitting there, and most of us are conditioned to watch 3 hours of wrestling on Monday anyway. So,
and Jay, look, man, you love NXT, but NXT gets nowhere near as much praise as AEW. That's actually been the whole thing with NXT, is that they changed to the color splash, and everyone endlessly criticizes it. And I'm not even saying that I think it's bad. I'm just saying it doesn't get a lot of praise.
It's getting better. It took them a little while after it went to NXT 2.0 and now whatever this current iteration is. But they've actually kind of built that roster back up, and they've got a lot of good young talent there, including Braun Breaker. But the men's division looks very good. The women's division is coming back up around too. So I think NXT is going to start coming back around and being very good again.
I don't think the women's division ever really slipped that far, but
They are stacked now. They got like 8 or 9 women in there who are going to be really good.
Yeah, but all right, we can move on from this. I just wanted to run through some of the comments that I missed.
That's cool. So in between the match and that best friends backstage interview, we did have a quick Christian Cage and Luchasaurus video package. It was just kind of some spooky lights and stuff, and Christian saying some things have changed, and then it cuts. I don't know what this means, but
can't wait to see what happens next. Yeah,
exactly. We then went to after the Orange Cassidy. Oh, excuse me. After the Ethan Page promo when Jeff Hardy returned, which for those of you who joined late, we covered at the top of the show, so please feel free to go back and watch it once we're done. But we had a Kenny Omega video package. Obviously, Bryan Danielson took him out along with the rest of the BCC a couple of weeks ago. The Bucks have been injured. Hangman was taken out last week by the BCC, so it's not looking good for the Elite and the rest of the boys. So Kenny is in his home, and he sent in a recorded message saying that he and the Bucks had been talking, and they would have been fine settling everything with the BCC in the ring. But when the BCC attacked Don Callis a few weeks ago, it became personal because he's family. Now they showed. Did you see the gash in Don's head during the highlight package right before this?
No, I purposely looked away. I didn't really want to see it.
It's ugly. It's like 3 inches at least on the top of his head, and it was a good like 1/4 inch wide. Like it was not pretty. One of the worst gashes I've seen in a while. Anyway, Kenny goes on to say that I was gonna bring this up actually. Kenny did have the painting behind him over his left shoulder there, which is a really nice touch. But Kenny went on to say that it would be blood for blood, but the BCC probably wants to hear that. So when Kenny does end up returning, it's going to be much worse. This then led into the match between Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. Obviously, this was never intended to be much of a match, and I don't want to say it wasn't because it wasn't necessarily a squash. I thought Nakazawa and Cutler did okay, and they looked all right. I actually, in my notes, I called them Elite Light. But they ended up getting jumped on the ramp before the match started. Nat gets his head busted open before the bell even rings. And then he's thrown back into the ring by Claudio. But Nat actually starts fighting back. He's getting some good shots in. But he is eventually taken down by Claudio and put into the swing and then into the sharpshooter. Cutler then gets up off the floor, and he's also gushing blood out of his head. And he comes in and breaks up, or at least tries to break up the sharpshooter, and pretty much more or less causes more of a distraction for Claudio to have him push him out of the ring than actually gets him off of Nakazawa. But that distraction allows Nakazawa to hit a back body drop and tag Cutler in while Castagnoli tags in Moxley. Moxley comes in, and Cutler's trying to throw punches, and Moxley's just eating everything he throws, from punches to lariats. So eventually Mox just gets fed up, hits a King Kong lariat, hits a Death Rider, and locks in the Bulldog choke. But then, out of nowhere, Nakazawa comes back in and breaks that up, which prompts Claudio to come back in the ring, and the two guys just get their absolute shit kicked in until the referee is just forced to call for the bell to keep them safe. After the match, the beatdown obviously continues with Wheeler Yuta jumping in, and Moxley grabs a mic asking where the Elite are. And then he says that it's the BCC are the ones who put the Elite in All Elite Wrestling. And then Kenny's music hits. Now, we all thought Kenny was at home, but Kenny is indeed here. Kenny stays up on the ramp, challenging Mox to come up and fight him. And Mox rolls out of the ring and starts to go up towards the ramp. When he does so, the Young Bucks come in from behind, super kick Claudio and Wheeler, and the fight is on. The BCC are taken out by the Elite. And Mox, I think it was did Moxley get hit with the BTE trigger, or was that Claudio?
No, it was Mox.
It was Mox. Thank you. So Moxley gets hit with the BTE trigger and thrown in the corner by the Bucks. Kenny rolls outside the ring, and he gets a gear case from underneath the ring. And when he goes to hit Moxley with it, Matt Jackson stops him. And everyone's like, the fuck? And instead, Matt Jackson pulls out a screwdriver for Kenny to attack him with. Kenny takes it, looks at it, all menacingly the way Kenny does, like an anime villain, because that's literally his entire shtick. And he runs at Moxley, to stab him in the head with it, but Claudio grabs Moxley at the last second, pulls him out from the corner as Kenny impales the fucking turnbuckle. And I mean impaled it. He stuck that thing in there real good. So, crazy. So, obviously, as one whole segment, because this isn't even a match, it was pretty much just a segment. This was awesome. Nakazawa and Cutler, bravo to you. I thought they did great. You know, like it's not easy to just do a match knowing your entire job is to like get cut and then just look absolutely, you know, feeble. So they did a great job. They played their roles perfectly. But I thought this was a really good return for the Elite. They finally gained the upper hand on the BCC for the first time since this feud has pretty much started. We kind of saw, you know, an allusion to perhaps the Elite coming back together with Hangman as they, you know, tried to get revenge using the screwdriver after Brian used it on Hangman a couple weeks ago, though commentary wasn't really sure. But I enjoy this. I'm happy to see the Elite back, and it's kind of cool that seeing them ratchet up the violence this way to try to meet the BCC's level.
Yeah, even though that directly contradicts what Kenny said in his promo earlier that he wasn't going to go blood for blood, but you know,
he literally tried to kill Mox. Like, you can kill a man stabbing him through the eye with a screwdriver like that.
Yeah, which would have been bloody.
But illegal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever. They have Jeff Hardy on the show, so whatever. But the other thing is, I think this definitely was a squash match, but like the best kind of squash match where like, oh, it was great. I loved everything about it. I loved how ineffective they were because they should be. It would be way worse if they were getting legitimate offense in on them. Like even when Nakazawa got like the back foot body drop. No, whatever countered.
Yeah.
You know, Claudio looked more annoyed about it than like actually he was like tagging it like I'm fucking almost like pissed about this as opposed to like I need help right now. I was like, oh, fuck, okay, fine.
He's like, fine, take care of these dudes. I don't want to fucking deal with this asshole anymore.
So like it was very effective, and I thought the Bucks were. I didn't think they'd be back this soon, so that's awesome. And I'm super into this. The BCC just needs to win. That's my only hesitation with this. But you know, we'll see how this feud goes. But so far, so very good. Very much into this. I thought this was a great addition.
Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm outside of, I think, the main event feud with MJF and the Pillars. This is my second favorite feud running right now. I think it's just been very well booked. Even though I think Hangman kind of looked like an idiot last week coming out by himself. But yeah, camera guy. It's Landon. It's Landon. It's not Brandon actually. But I'm really, really enjoying this feud. So. And I'm also really enjoying, hopefully, the fact that everybody is going to make up again. You know, the Hangman and the Elite and everyone. I'm excited to see it, and they're doing a great job on the side on BTE. They did a short one last week, just because obviously the Bucks and Kenny and Hangman were all out because they were written out last week. So it's like 7.5 minutes, and it's really good. Like Cutler does like a whole montage of like all the good times the four of them have had together since they've been doing BTE and in the ring and stuff. So, and then you saw Nick and Matt watching Hangman get his shit kicked in, and that started to lead to this. So I am excited. You know what? I am butting the under. I'm excited to see where all this goes. I'm excited to see it continue to play out, not just on here, but on BTE as well. So hype. That's the last thing I got for that. I'm just hyped. All right, let's move on. We had a backstage interview with the Mogul Embassy, which Swerve, Brian Cage, and Prince Nana. Swerve is pretty pissed that he's lost. But
wait, can I summarize this promo? So this was basically a backstage promo to let us know how the main event was going to end, and Swerve just said, "I'm going to interfere in the main event." Peace, and that's what happened.
Pretty much, yeah. He just literally said he's pissed that he lost. And which is a testament to how good he is because he taught Darby everything he knows that Darby knows. But and then, like you said, he said he's got increasing number of beefs of AEW, and he's going to handle some unfinished business tonight, which clearly Keith Lee, duh. Also, side note, did it seem like Swerve got lost in the middle of this promo?
Yes, very
Like he
much
almost
so.
forgot what we were gonna say, and then
And he
somebody
looked at
reminded him.
Brian Cage like Brian Cage was gonna fucking know. Like
I don't know if Nana saved him or somebody saved him, but whoever did,
I don't
was
think
able
it was
to cover
saved.
nicely.
I think it was just there was an awkward pause, and then the promo finished, and whatever.
He recovered nicely though. So, all right. Like Danny said, that just set up the main event. So spoilers, yeah. Then we had Rio and Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. Obviously, you know, women always get put in the time slot of death. Not so much recently, but they did tonight, unfortunately. And we, you know, got another iteration of this match, which, as always, is a very good match. It's just, you know, nothing spectacular or mind-blowing. There was actually a really nice spot in this match for me, I thought, with Sky Blue, where she took out all three members of the Outcast by herself. And it was one of those things that stood out to me because we have started saying every week, like, oh, every time we see Sky Blue, she looks better and better and better. And, you know, she's all elite now, and she looked good. She looked good tonight. They all did. This match ended, though, with all four women trading strikes. And then at the end of that fray, Sky Blue and Rio hit a thrust kick crucifix bomb combination onto Ruby Soho, and Rio chased her out of the ring. But back inside the ring, Tony Storm was able to hit a German suplex onto Sky Blue, sending her into the corner when she hit a hip attack and a Storm Zero to pick up the win. After the match, the Outcast obviously jumps Sky Blue. Rio tries to come back in for the save. She gets her ass kicked. Jamie Hayter's music kick. She comes in. Numbers are still not great. And then Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, follows Jamie in shortly thereafter. And she's able to clear out the Outcast, including almost hitting a stomp on Saraya before she is saved by Ruby and Tony. So Producer Boy, bonk. But Danny, like I said, just good, solid, another variation of this match. I wish they would progress this feud a little more, though. It seems like it's kind of hit a bit of a stalling point.
See, I don't know, man. It's AEW, and some weeks I just want to give up on the comp
as hard as I can. I'm coming. I'm just gonna come as hard as I can.
Producer,
all right.
Just keep it in your pants, Jesus.
I mean, yeah, make a mess of your pants, I guess is what I'm saying. But they got really shortchanged this week. This was nothing. Did this even go through a commercial break? Because I don't think it did. Like, this was really short. And
if it did, it was a picture-in-picture.
Yeah, I don't even think it did. But
I thought it did. But it was, either way, it was very short.
This felt very rushed. Like, just, bro, we didn't need the Hobbs squash match. Like, the car being destroyed could have just been an angle. You save 3 minutes that way. You give it to this match. You know, there was ways this match could have been longer. I don't know. I don't really have much to say because this was kind of nothing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read this tweet, but my camera's in the way.
Let's say, you know what's weird about this women's angle in AEW treading water for so long? Unlike WWE, AEW is pretty in tune with what fans aren't into and adjust. It's why Saraya, Tony Storm, and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter all did the double turn in the first place. So why aren't they? I don't know. Oh, I guess they're not adjusting, is what he's saying. Shout out to I don't even know how to Uncle Howdy Hootie Hopper Hooks, whatever. Either way, why aren't they doing something different and better? They have to know how cold it is and how everyone rips it every week. I don't think it's that we're ripping it. I just think they haven't done anything to progress the storyline. It's just been, you know, outside of Rio facing Jamie Hayter, it's been Sky Blue versus Tony Storm, Sky Blue versus Ruby Soho, Willow Nightingale versus Ruby Soho. I think she faced Tony as well. Like, they've just been doing the same 4 or 5 women in just different combinations of matches. And it's kind of like what WWE does sometimes when they do that for doing a feud. But at least when the WWE does that, they're progressing the feud somewhere. It's just been the same thing every week where it's just, okay, match ends, whoever wins. The Outcast jump the faces, and then whatever section of the faces isn't out there, whether it's Rio, Sky, and Willow, or Jamie and Britt, whichever one's not out there, they come in for the run in and make the save. It's been that for at least 5 weeks now, it feels like. You got to do something with this. You got to pull some sort of trigger or at least do something to advance the storyline, unless you're waiting for somebody to come in to like back up the outcasts and even out the numbers.
I don't know at this point. I really don't. TK doesn't book women well. Yeah, he doesn't. He straight up doesn't.
He does
and he
not.
doesn't take criticism about it well either. Shawn Michaels does, though. I mean, better than Tony Khan, yeah.
That's one, honestly, that is one of the brighter points of NXT now that I'm like checking in on it more and more and more since TakeOver. Shawn Michaels has, and I mentioned it before, that women's division is deep and he's booking it well. As opposed to Tony, who can't do shit with the women.
But you know what? This also extends to Triple H lately. The woman got fucked hard at Mania. Like, yeah, we're all going to remember how good Rhea Charlotte was, but well, let's not forget how shitty the build was. The build was so bad that match that was maybe the best match of the night didn't deserve to main event, which sounds stupid in hindsight because of how good it was. But there,
I was going to say it was probably the second best match. I thought the main event was the best match of the night. But
no, that's fair. But the point is that it's up for debate.
Yeah,
and
it was my favorite match.
That's fair. But like, the build was so bad. Like, even the stuff, I wouldn't have a Raw review, but like, the fact that Liv and Raquel are tag champs right now is fucking stupid. I mean, good for Liv and whatever for Raquel. Like, fine for Raquel. Like, good for Liv. But
good for Raquel too. I like Raquel.
She already had a tag title run and it sucked. And she has no character. I like Raquel too. It's just main roster Raquel is not good yet. She needs something.
No, that's fair.
But like right now, yeah, maybe. Impact is still the place to be if you're the women. Apparently,
their women division is always booked really, really well. So, and I honestly, I don't know if she books the women's division, but Mickie James, I think, has a really, she got her like she's. Oh my God! I just completely forgot how to say words. Not good when you're podcasting, but she has a lot of influence over that booking. I don't know if she's the actual booker or not. James would know that, but he's still on assignment. So either way, she does a lot there for that division, including win the title. So that's why I think they have such a good women's division. The WWE women's division, it's strong. They have a lot of good talent. They do occasionally have a little trouble booking them. NXT, like we said, they're doing a very good job of rebuilding that division. And AEW, they have good talents. They just don't utilize them. And they barely get on TV, as we saw tonight. So hopefully, like I said, they could do something with this feud and push it forward. But, Kenny was booking the women's division. At least he was there for a while, or at least had, again, a lot of influence over what was going on there. I don't know if that's still true. Lots changed with the EVP situation, and especially since the brawl out and everything when everyone got suspended. So I haven't seen anything about him still doing that. But
he's
I know
not still doing
in terms of booking it, I don't know. But in terms of working with the women and practicing and training and stuff, from what I've read, he still does that a lot. So. And there's a lot of other women there too who do it. Like Emi Sakura is there all the time, helping to train not just the women, train everybody. So they do. If there's one thing they do well in AEW is that they let you. This is like, hey, we're out here. You want to work on stuff? We're gonna work on stuff. So, all right, let's get to the main event, which we all know got completely telegraphed. So we already know the end. But this entire match was made because, and I praised Cryon for putting this quote. Lack of respect for peers led to Keith Lee challenge. That's what they had on the upper third, and it was right, and it's hilarious. No problem, it. Anyway, towards the end of this match, Jericho got his knees up on a moonsault from Keith Lee, but he ended up injuring his knee more than he ended up hurting Lee, which was, I thought, hilarious. So Keith Lee hit a slam, and then Jericho kicked out of it. Lee then went for a power bomb, but Jericho rakes the eyes, and he's able to lock in the walls for a minute before Lee eventually makes it to the ropes. And then Jericho, he always does this with Aubrey Edwards, and I think it's hilarious. Anytime he's got the walls in and somebody makes it to the ropes, he thinks that they tapped and he won. And Aubrey just completely is like, no, you didn't win, stupid. Put your hands down. And every single time, Jericho gets really, really mad. But that ended up leading into a distraction. So Garcia jumped up on the apron to try to interfere. But Keith Lee hit him with an elbow, pulled him back into the ring, and then took both men out. Lee then dumped Garcia over the top. And when he turned around, Jericho tried to hit him with a code breaker. But Lee literally caught him and then was able to power him up for the Spirit Bomb, but Lee took so much out of Lee that he was unable to make the cover. So both men are down, and Jericho starts crawling towards the bottom rope with Lee trying to follow him. Lee goes in for the cover, but Garcia literally slides up onto the apron right next to Aubrey and distracts him. So then a masked man, who's very clearly Swerve, comes in and hits Lee with what I believe to be the ring bell. At least it looked like the ring bell before escaping into the crowd. Jericho then crawls into the cover and he ends up getting the win. After the match, Adam Cole's music hit very shortly after Jericho's, and obviously interrupting Judas. And Cole comes down to check on Lee, walking him back up the ramp and peering over his shoulder at Jericho the way Jericho did to him a couple of weeks ago after his first match back. So as we said multiple times now, the ending to this match was telegraphed. That being said, I did like the match. I thought there were some entertaining spots. Keith Lee fucking with Jericho at the beginning there, kissing him in the forehead was funny. I really loved that catching the code breaker into the Spirit Bomb spot there. And it's just nice to see Keith Lee on Rampage again. He looks way different with the gray hair. But on Dynamite again, and not on Rampage. I see him on Dynamite again. But he looks great, and I'm happy to see him get some shine again, even though it looks like he's just gonna end up back in a feud with Swerve.
Yeah, I guess they never really wrapped that up. Did they ever even have a match? I don't remember them having a match.
Nah, Swerve just stomped him with the cinder block, and then that was pretty much it, right?
Yeah. Can you say cinder block? Can you say cinder block one more time?
Cinder block.
Okay.
I said it really. I know. I said it really, really.
Yeah, you literally. It was like you said Cyndaquil, basically. But
cinder block.
Yeah. I didn't love this so much. I liked the fun spots of it, like you said, like Keith kissing him, the Jericho getting hurt more from putting his knees up and Keith laughing at it. The catching the Spirit. I'll always pop for a Spirit Bomb. It is the best power bomb in all of wrestling ever. It is the best. But like just knowing the ending of the match, I couldn't be into this match at all, knowing that Lee was just gonna take the L, and like, I'm just happy he was on Dynamite
week. Like we knew coming into this last week, you were like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to believably, take that Lee's going to lose to Jericho with the Judas effect or getting hit with Floyd or something." And he didn't get hit with either. He got hit with the ring bell by Swerve. So, but it's still kind of the same thing where it's like, okay, and like it's kind of annoying that Jericho ended up winning this match, even though at least he won it by cheating and it protected Lee. But
yeah, and even though on paper I understand this, but like if you peel it back a little bit, why did we bring Keith and Swerve's feud back to Dynamite and have them both lose on the same show? Like, and then we're gonna care about this feud? Like that's kind of silly. That's a very WWE like thing to do. But like, I think the Swerve Darby match was the right call. I don't think this match was the right call. I don't love Keith's involvement. And the thing is, like, if he wasn't hurt, this probably would have been like a Kyle O'Reilly spot, and that's like more acceptable, even though O'Reilly's another guy that I always want to win if he is going to be there.
Yep. Anthony and you said the same thing at the same time.
Oh, wow. Look at that parallel thinking. But yeah, I don't know. Like it was fine for what it was, but this shouldn't have main evented. This was like a weak ending to the show.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even with like Cole coming down and the whole kind of turnabout is fair play thing with Jericho interrupting Cole's celebration and stuff like that. Like it's just
it made sense. Like on paper,
yeah, it made sense, but it's just like that's how you're ending the show. We could have done this in the middle, but I guess because Cole's was at the end, the symmetry of this being at the end. I don't know. It just you're right. Like that whole it just all kind of fell flat for me at the end, which I think I liked this match a little more than you did. And the spots were fun. The high spots were fun. I can understand why you don't like it as much as I do. I just love Keith Lee. So, I mean, yeah, not the best main event, but definitely not the worst. I want one more thing on Lee though. You digging the gray hair? I like
love
it.
Love it.
Yeah, it's
So
cool.
good.
I was telling one of my friends, I was like, "Have you seen Keith Lee?" He was like, "Dude, he looks great." And I'm like, "He looks like the old man in the hood that everybody knows not to fuck with." Like he's just the big guy on the porch. Anytime he steps outside, everyone just like, "Okay, we're done here." And whatever is gonna happen, like if some kids getting bullied or something, like everyone just leaves because they know not to fuck with that guy. That's what Keith Lee looks like.
Yeah, that's a really good tweet the producer boy put up. Like it's a little bit of a false equivalence. It's a little it's not the same, but it is funny. So like I can just laugh at that. That was a good tweet. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the gray hair. Everything Keith does is fucking cool, man.
Oh, that's mean. It's a clump. You can't see it, Danny. Yeah,
I really just the captions I can't see like the.
No, I think Keith looks good. The only maybe problem is with the gray now. You can kind of see that he's thinning on the top of his head, so he is kind of getting the moonroof. But if he doesn't want to dye his hair anymore, more power to him, man. Dude's almost he's 40 something, right?
I have no idea. Probably 42, maybe.
Yeah, he's older than you think. So he's been wrestling a while. But all right, we don't really have much else. So that was Dynamite. As a whole, what did you think of the show?
It was decent.
Good talk. It wasn't as good as last week, I would say. We had some good highs. I thought, the opening match was good. Obviously, the title match with Orange Cassidy was great. The Elite coming back was a good time. But, we had some lows, too, I thought. The women's match was not that it was bad. It was just the lack of time they were given was a bit of a low. So that kind of sucks. And, nothing else really stood out after that. So except the Bullet Club Gold thing, but that's more of I'm excited to see what happens there than it being a good segment. Anything was better than Raw after Mania. That was brutal. But decent show. But if you can remain this consistent again, AEW, like you'll be fine. So yeah, last week was the truth. All right, but I think that about wraps things up here. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Markdown Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. We are back here every week after Dynamite to review that. Danny's on Mondays for most of the time after Raw for his Raw Fast Forward.
Always. I never miss one.
Chad is trying to get NXT back up. So check in. If you subscribe, you can actually see whether or not Chad will be on that night. So just be sure to check in there. When James does return, he will be doing Gympact of Honor, reviewing both Impact and Ring of Honor, but he is still on assignment. And we do have new episodes almost every week. So, yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, check all that stuff out. Also, be sure to check out all of our stuff on social media in the description below. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Even though I think that one's... it is what it is. But check out Danny's memes on Instagram. They're a lot of fun. And so, for producer boy, Danny Hernandez, I'm Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everybody. Don't drink.